Hello guys, welcome to our first Bible study video. Today is already not going as planned, but that doesn't mean that the other things need to come before me sharing God with you guys. So if you hear a little boy talking in the background, it's because the room I'm filming this in is right next to his room, and he's currently in there trying to convince us that he doesn't need a nap right now, even though it's almost 3 hours past his normal nap time. I've been doing a lot of praying about what to share, and God has been really good about showing me a bunch of different ideas of things that are very helpful to me and possibly, I hope, are very helpful and relatable to you guys. The first thing I knew I wanted to talk about in the Bible study is the one thing that I feel like God has been teaching me the most lately, and that is being content through Christ. It's very hard in the day we live in, and I'm sure it's always been hard, but to just be content with what you have. I personally have always struggled with constantly wanting what's next. You know, as a kid, you're in elementary school, but you can't wait to get to middle school, and then you can't wait to get to high school, and then you can't wait to get your license, and then you can't wait to graduate, can't wait to graduate college. It never ends, and it's really hard for me, and I'm sure many others out there, to just be content with where you are. And that is the one thing that God has been teaching me a lot lately. He's been teaching me that through getting rid of social media. Social media was a big thing for me, where I was constantly seeing all these things I didn't have, seeing things that I thought I needed, or even if it wasn't physical things, seeing a place in my life that is where I thought I should be, even though I've found out now where I'm at is perfectly fine. Through this, I've stumbled on this one Bible verse that I feel like really lays out what God has been telling me over the past few months. So I'm going to read that to you guys, and then I want to break down a few parts because it is a longer passage, but it has a lot of good points in it. Alright, so the verse that we are going to be reading is 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 6 through 10. It says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrows." The first thing I want to point out is that with contentment comes great gain. We can obviously get temporary happiness from a lot of things that we can buy or get in this world, but to have great gain, you've got to learn to be content with what God has given you and quit trying to get all these other things. But these things aren't benefiting God in any way. The next thing I want to talk about is what it means to be content. And I think content doesn't mean that we don't have any desires or any strive to do anything new in life. It just means that we're happy with what we have, and the extra things that we are striving for are bringing glory to God. I think that's the key point there, because if you just read that verse, it seems like God is telling us that we should just be happy with what we have and just be that. But if we don't have any desires in our world, then that would mean we don't have a desire to like spread his word, or a desire to get things that will help you to share his word, if that makes sense. It's perfectly fine, I think, to want things and to desire things, but you just have to make sure that they're not coming in between you and God in that relationship. And the last little point I want to put in there is the love of money part. Keyword there is love. God doesn't say it's anything wrong with having money or being well off or anything like that. What he has a problem with is the love of money, because like I said, that puts something over God, and that's not what he wants us to do at all. So how do we be content? We talked about how we should be content, but now let's talk about how we can be content. The last verse I want to leave you with is Psalm 37 verse 3 through 4, and it says, "Trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." First thing, we've got to trust God, not ourselves, not others, that he's going to provide. We can't spend all of our time wanting and pushing for all these things and not trusting that he's going to be the one to give us all those things if it's something that we really need and that would bring him joy. The second thing is, with that trust, we've got to be faithful. We've got to stick it out. Trust can't be a 1 minute, one deal thing. You've got to continue to be faithful through him that those things will be provided, because most of the time it's not going to happen when you think it is. God's plan rarely ever does. The last thing is to delight in the Lord. In the verse it says, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." And what I think he means there is you have to really give your full self to God and find the happiness in God before you can get all those other desires that you have. I've learned this a lot lately. I have been trying to give my full self to God, even when there are other things that I feel like are more important. They're really not. And I've learned when I give my full self to him, I end up getting the things I need and want. And that's what the verse says. It says, "Delight in the Lord, and he'll give you your desires that you have." That's really how you have to be content. I think that until we give our full self to him and we work at that relationship and we really try to be in a relationship with him, not just like a I go to church on Sunday type thing, but if we really work on that relationship, we'll be content, and then that contentment is going to lead to us getting those desires that God sees fit for us. If this Bible study rang true to you like it did to me, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions of topics you'd like to talk about, let me know, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!